we're talking the best top 100 B schools of this country, and this is what the data represents. Because in India, the education is typically a waterfall that you actually have the best and then you fall and then you have the worst. Please watch data. Don't do MBA for the heck of doing an MBA. But this for me is alarming because we're talking of an year-on-year drop of about 3% in terms of the placement percentage. So you essentially have a half of the top 100 B schools having seen a placement drop of about 2.5-3% and a median salary drop of about 4.5-5%. Hello students, Namaste, welcome to MBA 360. A lot of conversations have happened about the worth of an MBA, the need for an MBA, and the kind of placements that you have. So what we thought today is that through the data that we have in the system about the kind of placement, the median salaries, the kind of percentage of students who are placed, can we establish the growth or the fall of an MBA as a degree? And from that perspective, what we're going to do is to just look at all the data that we have about the placement numbers that are across all the B schools in the country. Before I take off, can you please subscribe to MBA 360 if you're an MBA aspirant? Because our commitment, our promise to you is to ensure that you are well kept informed so that you take the best decision possible for yourself. So subscribe to MBA 360 while I take it to the next level. Right. Now, what are the things that we're looking at this point in time? How are the salaries and how's the fees? And both we're going to try to understand through data only. Now, just to put things in perspective, what is the sample data set at this point in time? The sample data set comes from this ranking, which is a Government of India ranking. It's a Government of India ranking, which essentially means that the data submitted to this ranking is on an affidavit, and the institutions can be penalized if they submit wrong data because it's submitted to the Government of India by the Dean, Director, Vice Chancellor on an affidavit. In this, about 1,026 B schools participated. And what did they rank? They ranked 100 top B schools in the country. So the data that we're going to present now is of this top 100 B schools in the country, which is representative of the best quality of MBA education in this country also. Right? So we're talking the best top 100 B schools of this country, and this is what the data represents. Now, understand one thing. The top 100 B schools fall, then the bottom 100 will fall much deeper. Because in India, the education is typically a waterfall that you actually have the best and then you fall and then you have the worst. There is nothing in between is what we think, right? So let's look at the data at this point in time. In 22-23, and we're talking of the top 100 B schools, by the way, there are 34,539 seats that were there in the top 100 B schools. In 23-24, they went up to 37,295. Right. So you actually essentially see, upside of about 8-9% in the number of seats that were established. Right. How many were graduated? About 31,859. Again, an 8-9% jump. How many were placed? What is 26,000 has become 28,000. So here you see about 7-8% jump. Right. But when you look at the overall placement percentage, this is the big thing that we are talking about here. The placement percentage has dropped from 92.36% of the total students who graduated to 89.77%, which essentially is a 2.6% drop in placements. There is a 2.6% drop in placements, right? Now, if you have to look at it, because we're looking at the top 100 B schools, I would always assume that the top B schools in the country should be actually admitting all its seats, because when you actually have about 5 lakh students enrolled in the MBA education, about 3 lakh students taking the CAT examination to get into an MBA, then the top 100 B schools, and there are 3,500-4,000 B schools in this country, mind you, and what we have is a data of 1,000, and what we're looking at is top 100, which essentially is about 35,000 seats of the 5 lakh. Right? So we're dealing with about 7%. The top B schools in the country, fill in all its seats, then there seems to be a question mark. So if I have to take it from the sanctioned intake of all these B schools, only 75% of the students were placed. Only 75% of them. But this for me is alarming because we're talking of an year-on-year drop of about 3%. In terms of the placement percentage, when you have this kind of a fall, typically your median salary also falls. And that is what we're going to look at. Because the demand falls, so obviously to that extent the price also falls. That's what would have happened. So when we looked at the top 100 B schools again, There are 45 B schools where the median salary declined. 45 B schools where the median salary declined. And 12 B schools reported absolutely no change. In my opinion, having been into the system for the last 20 years, I can very safely say that most of these B schools would have actually seen a fall. But they would have maintained the whole thing status quo just for the heck of presentation and nothing more. Otherwise, there is no way it would exactly be the same. It would be either up or down. And when they're remaining static, it means actually you actually see a fall, and it's only a presentation of it, information that's happening. But for a moment, let's only talk about the 45 B schools where they've seen a median salary fall, right? When I looked at that data, we're now talking about the 45 institutes that have fallen. The place candidates was 13,015 and 14,585. So you obviously saw a growth here because the number of seats also increased. But the median salary went down from 16.71 lakh as a weighted average of all the 45 B schools median salary. Remember, 45 B schools and median salary of the 45 B schools, it was 16.71 lakh, which has come down to 15.92 lakh. It's a weighted average of the median salary, which is a 4.72% drop. So you essentially have a half of the top 100 B schools, having seen a placement drop of about 2.5-3% and a median salary drop of about 4.5-5%. That is what is a big story out here. Now, does it end here? No. If you look at the kind of B schools that have fallen, it is alarming. Like IIT Madras has a B school, which is essentially called Department of Management Studies. There, the amount of median salary that fall is 3.67 lakh. What was 20.45 lakh in 22-23 has fallen to 16.78 lakh in 23-24. Now we're talking about the best B schools because IIT Madras is possibly the 10th or 15th ranked best B school in the country. IIM Sambalpur, baby IIM. What was 16 lakhs has come down to 13.15 lakh. IIT Kharagpur, which is called VG SOM, Vinod Gupta School of Management, again one of the best B schools in this country. What was 24.5 lakh has come down to 20.65 lakh, a drop of 3.85 lakh. IIM Raipur, 20 lakh has come down to 17.5 lakh. And IIM Calcutta, 33.67 lakhs. IIM Calcutta I'm talking about now. IIM Calcutta, which is the top 4 B schools in this country. What is 33.67 lakhs has become 30 lakhs, a drop of 3.67 lakh. The percentage drop is very alarming, 18%, 18%, 16%, 12.5%, and 11%. Right? So we're now talking about the best B schools in this country, the top 10 B schools in the country having seen this kind of a fall. We talked of how the placement percentage has dropped. We talked of median salary of the top of the 45 B schools having dropped about 4.5-5%. But when I look at the numbers deep down, this is the kind of fall that we saw between 22-23 and 23-24. We still don't have data of 24-25 and so on and so forth. In my opinion, this trend would have continued. Does it mean that you should not do an MBA? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that please watch data. Please watch data. Don't do MBA for the heck of doing an MBA. If you get into a good B schools, which has a decent traction and almost, assures you of certain return on investment, which essentially is the outcome that you're looking for, please join that. If you want any questions of any B school where you actually are thinking of joining, write to me here and I'm going to research the same thing and put up the data out here. But don't do an MBA for the heck of doing an MBA. Don't do an MBA because you can't sit at home and not do anything. It's far better that you do a skilling course at times. But this data shows the mirror in terms of what is happening in the placement scenario. The costs have increased 8%. The placement percentage has dropped by about 2.5-3%. The median salaries have dropped by about 5%. And in the best B schools, you're seeing a 10% plus kind of a median salary fall. All these things signify one thing, that you should be extremely cautious and careful about choosing your B school, the MBA that you are about to do. Look at the data as much as you can. And if you have any doubts, please write to us, talk to us, and I'll be more than happy to deal with that. Thank you so much. Namaste.